Hi everyone, it's Allison Waken, and I wanted to start a series on my Project Life album, or as I call it, my Everyday album. I get a lot of questions about it, and so I thought I would start a series about how I do a spread or 2 pages from start to finish. So first, I just wanted to show you that I'm using the 9x12 album this year, and my album and page protectors are both from Studio Calico. Now, the Project Life idea comes from Becky Higgins, and she partnered with Studio Calico to create a kit every month that has cards and embellishments and usually alpha stickers or something like that, and stamps. And I love using it because I like working with different products. I don't like having the same products over and over. I'm a big fan of just variety and using different things. So I love working with the Studio Calico kits every month. I am on their creative team, so I am super lucky to get those kits every month and create them early for you to see and be inspired from. So to start with the album, I always start with photos. So everybody kind of works differently from beginning to end. Some people plan out their pages. Some people might start with the cards that they got. I like to start with photos. I like to get them all printed and in front of me. It's just the way that I've found that works for me. I've been doing this for 4 years now, and that's the system that seems to work the best for me. So I'm going to walk you through how I print my photos. There are so many ways to do this. I'm going to put some links down below of different ways that you can print on 4x6s. Elsie Larson also has a great tutorial on how she does it on her large format printer. I actually just print mine at Target or Costco. It's just the way I prefer to do it. So I'm going to show you how I do it, and then link below to some other great ideas of different ways to doing it if you don't like my way. I use Photoshop. It would work with Photoshop CC or Elements, or if you have the full version. Either way, what I'm going to show you will work for that. So let's get started. So first we're going to open all of the images that I want to edit. Obviously I'm speeding this up a little bit. There's quite a few images. Then I'm going to crop the images to the size that I want to use in my album. So I usually use 3x4, 4x6, or 3x3, sometimes 4x4. So this I'm making into a 3x4, and I'm going to resize the image so it's actually 3 inches by 4 inches, and you'll see why I do that in a minute. I always use 300 pixels per inch. It's just a good standard size. Now this image, I want to span across the entire top of my page, so I want it to be 9 inches long. Obviously I can print this on a larger paper, but I like to stick with all 4x6s just to make my life easier. So I'm going to crop my picture to be 9x4 or 4x9 so that it can fit into 3x4 slots, or a 3x4 and a 4x6 slot. So what I'm doing is resizing the image. So here I want to make sure that's exactly 9 inches by 4 inches with 300 pixels per inch. And then I'm going to crop it down. I'm going to cut it down so that it fits on 4x6s. So you can slide a guide over just by pulling it from the ruler if you have that showing. But I like to just go and make a new guide, because I can make it exactly at 3 inches and I know that they're going to be sized correctly. So you can pick vertical or horizontal position, and so there's my 3 inches. And then I'm going to crop this with no aspect ratio selected, so I'm just going to delete the numbers out of there and crop this image to the guide. So that's exactly 4x6 inches, and then I can just save that image, and then I can step backwards and crop it back to the other side of the guide. I use this technique for any large images if I'm cutting it down. Obviously, if you're not cutting it down, you need to print it on a bigger piece of paper, but these are going to be cut down anyway, and it's cheaper to go with 4x6s rather than a 12x12 or something like that. I actually made myself a resize to 3x4 Photoshop Action because I use it so often, and make sure that all my images are exactly 3x4 inches. So here I'm just going to go through all of the photos that I have up for this month, getting ready to print for the Project Life album. So again, I usually use 4x6, 3x4, or 3x3 inch square. And all of those sizes will fit onto a 4x6. Sometimes you can put 2 images on one, so the 3x4s, you can fit 2 to a page. And I'll show you how I do that in a minute. I'll also turn some images black and white, whether I just want to use black and white or maybe the lighting's not so great. I like to do it that way as well. And it's also a fun way to add more color with your products and supplies than with the photos, depending on if the color really tells the story or if it's not that important. So now what I'm doing is I'm starting a new document that's 4x6 inches, and I'm going to show you how I assemble all of these photos together. So you can either select your entire photo. So I went into this 3x4 inch photo. I'm going to select all and then copy, or you can cut that photo out and then go back to that new document or new canvas that you started and paste it on there. I don't use that technique. I don't know why. I just prefer to do it a different way, in which I move the photo to a new window and just drag it over. That way I know that all of those photos that are kind of behind my Photoshop screen I've already done. And it just saves me a step of closing the photos one at a time, if that makes sense. So after those photos are on there, and I'll show you again here in a minute, what I do is I flatten the image and then save it. And I usually save it something like print 1, print 2, like something like that, so I know exactly what photos need to be uploaded. And once I save it, I'm going to undo the last step, which was to flatten the image, and then drag those images to the trash. That way I'm not starting a new canvas the whole time. You just have to remember to save it as a new name. So I hope that made sense. It makes sense to me, and for whatever reason, this is just the way that works the best and easiest for me. Like I said, there's other ways to put 2 images to a 4x6. This is just my preferred easy way because I can make quick adjustments to the photos if I want to, and add on digital stamps if I want to, or maybe digital journaling. I can do it all at once, and I don't have to go back in and open photos. It just makes the process a little bit smoother for me. So here you can see, obviously it doesn't happen this quickly. This took me about 40 minutes, which isn't too bad for as many photos as I had printed. And I like to do this just sitting in front of the TV. So that's about it. I just save them all, upload them to Target, and go and pick them up. So I just got back from Target picking up my photos, and as you can see, they are all on 4x6s. So it just makes it really easy. They're all the same size, and all I need to do is trim them and get them ready to be put into the page protectors. So if I'm ready to work, I'll go ahead and trim them all. If not, I'll just set them with my Project Life supplies and wait until I have some time to work on it. Or if I'm just wanting to look through the photos, sometimes I'll just trim them right when I bring them home and then put the already cut photos. Either way, I always trim them all at once so that they're all ready to go and ready to use. So I just use this basic Fiskars paper cutter that you can get at any craft supply store or even Target. And I like this one just because it has a little line that shows you where it's going to cut. It's a little off, but you learn what works for the cutter that you have. And I just trim the photos. So the 3x4s all just need to be trimmed in half. And then the 3x3 squares just need to have that excess trimmed off and then trimmed in half. And go from there. If I have a 4x6 photo that I want to put into 2 3x4 slots, then I also will cut those in half. But I usually wait until I'm in the creation process of the actual spread to do that. So here I'm just cutting all of the photos out. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this first round of my Everyday Album series. Next time I'm going to talk about supplies and getting started. So you have your photos. What do you do with them? So I'm going to go through kind of all the supplies that I use, some other supplies that you might want, and how I really get started creating a spread. If you like this series and you think you might be interested to learn more, I'd love for you to subscribe to my new YouTube channel. Thanks for visiting.